Okay, so as you can see, I got about 5.5 hours sleep last night, which is for me par for the course. I'm showered. I'm already sweating because it's already probably about 90 degrees out here. You okay, silly cat? Hey, Shadow. She's already gone to sleep. Anyway, just a quick check-in. I gotta reset. Actually, I don't need to reset that. Yeah, don't need to reset the navigator. We just need to reset my mileage here. Okay, so I want to reset that. And I'm going to reset. We did 785 miles last night. We're going to do 735 today. Okay, we're all set. So I'm going to leave it a nice, easy to remember number of 11:15 a.m. Yes, I am still running slightly behind, but not as bad as yesterday. Okay, and off we go. So, not the most glamorous place or departure or anything like that, but again, like I said, this is real life stuff, people. This is not anything glamorous. I know a lot of people on YouTube like to make travel glamorous, and simple fact is, and
turn right onto I-20 East.
And I'm willing to bet that the vast majority of you that have traveled any actual distance, or more than just a couple of times, probably can 100% relate to what I'm talking about. So anyway, we're getting on the freeway here. Like I said, it's right off the freeway. That's the other thing that I really like about this place, is I don't have to worry about driving through like a middle of like a little town or whatever. We just get on.
Continue on I-20.
And sorry, I'm just trying to get my cruise set now. Camaro ragtop. I think that's a Camaro. Well, actually, it might be a Mustang. I don't know my sports cars all that well. Well, I've always wanted a Dodge Challenger. I sat in a Charger once. Didn't like it. It's like you feel like you're sitting like in a pit. It's kind of weird. It's kind of like being in a race car, which I guess is the whole point of it. But it just wasn't for me. And if the Challenger looks more. Anyway, I'm just rambling. But anyway, so we're headed down the road here. We're going to be going through most of Alabama today. Like I said, I'm only 45 miles across the state line, and we're going to go through a tiny little corner of Georgia, and then Tennessee, and then finally Virginia. And with any luck, I will be there tonight. I mean, we're probably, assuming that we don't have any delays, probably looking at about, I'm going to say 11 and a half hours of driving a day plus stop time. So probably around, I'm hoping to make it there by 12:30 a.m. So it'll technically be Monday morning, but I don't really see me getting there any earlier than that, and that's assuming everything goes right. Although this next 3 hours, this particular leg of the trip through Alabama, even going through Tuscaloosa and Birmingham, really isn't all that bad. It's usually clear sailing. It's Chattanooga that's the problem. More on that later. Anyway, that's going to do it for me. We'll catch you later on today. Bye. The second day of the journey always goes by a lot faster than the first day does, because I am already adjusted to being cooped up in a vehicle for hours and hours. Also, the closer I get to my destination, the better the scenery becomes. Flat land gives way to gentle rolling hills, then the bigger foothills, and finally you're in the middle of the Appalachian Mountains. don't see a whole lot of Tuscaloosa from the freeway, but this bridge arch is interesting. Birmingham is the largest metropolitan area I pass through, and I-20 takes you through virtually the middle of downtown. Usually on a Sunday at the time I come through, however, there is almost never any heavy traffic to deal with. Once north of Birmingham on I-59, it isn't long before the rolling hills begin to become more prevalent. Around the Gadsden area, you start to see the foothills and small mountains, marking the beginning of the Southern Appalachians. It's not very long before you reach elevations of around 1,000 feet. I-59 passes through the extreme northwestern corner of Georgia and is a very short but sweet segment of this trip, as there are many scenic views of the growing mountains. Since I only had 17 miles of Georgia to film, I will let the music play and this passage can speak for itself. Tennessee now, at the rest stop, the must stop rest stop, as I like to call it, because going into Chattanooga on I-24, if you don't stop to pee, you may be wishing you did, because the traffic coming through here is often really bad. Right now I've got it though, so I made a very quick stop just to take care of business, and we're getting back on the road again. Yeah, it looks like it's actually moving fairly well. Hopefully that will hold. So we got about 13 miles to get through this town.
Continue on I-24.
I'm actually at 60 miles an hour right now, so hopefully that will hold. So yeah, sorry about that pause. I had a truck that was trying to let me in, so I was like, I need to get over while I can. Anyway, so this is Chattanooga. It's, and as you can see, coming the other way, it is backed up. So I mean, it's usually the bigger chance is going this way. Coming the other way though is no you know, can be no picnic either, especially at night. It can get messy. So I'll go ahead and go 65. I think that's the speed. I thought it was 60, but I just remembered, yeah, it's 65. So I'll just speed it up here a little bit. So hopefully this will hold, and assuming that it does hold, we'll just do another time lapse of downtown. Oh wow, wait a minute. When you start seeing brake lights, although now it's just actually just a couple of drivers up there blocking the lanes and going slow. There's a lot of that going on out here on the freeways everywhere, not just Tennessee, it's everywhere. Anyway, I'm gonna say about 150 miles or so from my lunch stop. And I'll check back in. As it turned out, I was able to get through Chattanooga without any real delays. As you can see from the road, this can become a huge bottleneck if there is construction or a traffic accident because of the terrain that it passes through. To drive the point home, I have passed through here 8 times in the last 3 years, and I was only able to get through without any real delays twice. I did run into a minor slowdown on the far side of the city, but it didn't last very long. On I-75, there is a part of the freeway that has divider lines bunched very close together because the area is prone to heavy fog, especially at night. Nothing fantastical here, I'm just pointing it out. Knoxville is another metro area that is prone to heavy traffic at any time of the day. Fortunately, on this afternoon, I didn't encounter any real problems. Even when traffic is moving, one needs to be alert, as I have come across a lot of erratic drivers passing through this region. While Knoxville is not the largest metropolis I pass through, it is spread out over 25 miles, hence the extended time lapse. This kind of gives Knoxville the illusion that it's a larger city than it actually is. But having said that, it is by no means small, as over 900,000 people live in its metro area. After driving through miles and miles of suburbia, you are finally rewarded by seeing a good bit of downtown. Again, I got lucky on the way out of Knoxville. This part of the freeway is often backed up as well, but it wasn't today. I am at White Pine, Tennessee. This is my last gas stop. I am approximately 370 miles from my destination. It's about 6:30. I've made really good time today. I've been stopped for, I'm going to say about 20 minutes now. I'm going to stay parked here for another 10 minutes or so. but just wanted to check in real quick. I was really hungry. I just finished eating. Fortunately, my headache seems to have subsided, so the allergy pills and the ibuprofen from this morning worked. So that's good. This is an area I always stop because they got a McDonald's and they got a gas station and sodas and anything else I may need all right here. I don't have to do any driving around. So that's a bonus. I got about Memphis wasn't, or not Memphis, what am I saying? Knoxville wasn't so bad. The I-75 going into I-40 was a little bit backed up, but after about 5 minutes it cleared up and it was clear sailing through that, and on the far side there was no backup at all, which often I encounter as well. So far the two trouble spots have cleared me. Of course, this happened the last time I came up here, and then I had the disaster. I made the mistake of letting my cat out of her cage while she was in the car, and she prompted to run underneath the seat, and it took me an hour to get her out, because once a cat's claws hook in the carpet, yeah, good luck getting them out from a confined space. You're not going to do it. So in the cage she stays. She never will use the litter box in the car anyway. So, and then there was they had some constructions and somewhere in Virginia, I think about like 80-90 miles around Stanton or somewhere the last time, and they had one lane blocked. Well, of course, two people ran into each other in the other lane, and there were 2 fatalities. So I was sitting there on the freeway because it was shut down for an hour and a half because of that. So hopefully that won't happen. I have at least eliminated this problem. Of course, there could always be another Seguin. Hopefully not. Although if it's just a 40-minute delay, I'd gladly take that over an hour and a half. Anyway, so wish me luck, and on we go. Okay, so have some light left, but this is probably really the only part of Virginia I'm going to get to film today, because it's going to be dark soon. It's already 20 to 8, and it's not going to be long before the sun drops below these mountains completely. But we are coming into Bristol. I've been through here many times, stopped, I don't know, for gas a few times. Really don't know a whole lot about it outside that they have an international speedway here that, as far as I know, is still in operation. But it is a nice looking area. It's grown a lot in the last 20 years. I remember coming through here when it was a little more than just the speedway and a few, gas stations and restaurants and houses. But it's gotten
1.5 miles. Arrive at I-81 North.
But it's gotten a lot bigger in the last 20, 30 years. Anyway, just for those of you who know, what are my ties to Virginia? Well, I basically grew up there. I wasn't born there, but I grew up there. And I've had a lot of really good experience, a few not so good ones, but it all works out. And my girlfriend is somebody that I knew a long time ago, and I met her in Shenandoah County, actually at a place called Orkney Springs, which we will see later in the series. You could say, we had a thing going back then, got separated, and then...
In 1/4 mile, arrive at I-81 North.
Okay, and there's Virginia. We are in Virginia, and this is Bristol.
Continue on I-81.
Alright, I got it. Shut up. But anyway, we reconnected a couple of years back, and we had, been in communication for 38 years, and now we want to spend the rest of our lives together. One thing to note about Virginia is that radar detectors are illegal in this state. If you get caught with one, not only will you get fined heavily, you will likely have your radar detector confiscated. Even if you do not have it plugged in when you enter the state, if it's within reach, you can still get ticketed for having it. Your best bet is just to put the radar detector and its power source in the trunk. As the sun went down, I drifted back into my night driving mode. I wasn't numb to my surroundings, however, as I began to recognize more cities and towns and reminisced about days of old when I was growing up in Virginia. I always loved coming back here, and I always dread having to leave. It's also a great feeling knowing that instead of being half a country away from the woman you love, you are just a small handful of miles from falling into her arms again. I started to look forward to all the things that we do together when I come here. Cooking on the grill, going to view the scenery out in the countryside, seeing her family and old friends again. Even all the stupid little things you and your significant other do and talk about that doesn't matter to anybody else, but it means the world to the two of you. Living inside such a silly little bubble was the only choice available, I'd take it in a heartbeat. Okay, I'm at a rest stop right now. About 55 miles out, basically an hour away. Just wanted to check in one more time with the GoPro, which I'm using as the cab cam on this trip. Probably wind it up with maybe one or two more time-lapse videos from the forward facing the dash cam, basically. I'm really tired. Travel today wasn't too bad. Traffic was actually lighter than normal, and it's been kind of that way the entire trip. And it kind of makes me wonder, does that have to do with people's pocketbooks, or is there just nothing going on? I mean, it is the middle of the July, so major holiday just passed, so maybe people are just staying home. I don't know. In any case, I picked a good time to travel this time, at least once we got past all the rain and the construction delays. Anyway, this is pretty much going to wind it up, at least for this installment of this series. Hope I didn't bore you too much, and sorry we didn't get that much footage of Virginia, but it was too dark. Got too dark too fast, but we'll get plenty of it in coming days, and you know, talk to some of the people that live around here. Anyway, we'll see you in the next one. I'm signing off for now. I finally reached the exit I had been waiting to see for the last 2 days. As I pulled off the freeway, I felt a sigh of relief that I had made it out here once again, unscathed and in one piece. further I drove away from the highway, the more sparse things became as I drifted into the deep country. Gone was the compressive nature of urban life and all of its intrusive element. I was driving into wide open spaces and tasted the sweet freedom that comes with it. As you watch this time lapse of the last few miles, there is one thing to point out when driving these roads in the middle of the night. You will encounter animals and need to be wary of them jumping out on the road. In this one time lapse alone, I encountered no less than 7 deer, a cat crossing a road, and another unidentified small animal. Once I arrived at Regina's house and got settled in, I don't remember dreaming, but I do remember having that warm feeling the following morning of knowing I would be with her for the next month.